My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is Holy Macrocosm. What a big, big world we live in. World of worlds. There's a lot of ways we can talk about the largesse of life. You know, the microcosm, the quantum realm, the quantum waves of probability that we are all collapsing into the particles we witness with our consciousness has, every side of the coin has another side of the coin. In the realm of the 𝐷90, on the other side of that coin is that which has a largesse, that which is much bigger than we can conceive of. When I think of largesse, I think of things like the sun. The sun every day shows you what things are. It warms you if you're cold, or if there's a cool breeze and you have a chill. The sun, as you bake it, it might warm you up. It provides plants the opportunity to photosynthesize, robustly offering our plant life the opportunity to be alive, which then provides us with the nutrients and foods that we need as a result of that light offering. So aside from its capacity to illumine, it gives us our nutrients, it gives us warmth, it gives us a transition out of night and opening awareness. And so it is infinitely generous. It does not surprise me at all that we have praised this gaseous ball, this medium-sized star, as Apollo, Helios, Inti, Surya, Lug, Sol, Ra. Many beings through many cultures through all time have praised the sun as much more than just a medium-sized star or a gaseous ball of light. They have praised it as a divine entity with divine awareness. Now, me being on the shamanic path, I have a more animistic view in which I believe that all things have spirit back of it. And spirit is very fast moving and it has a quickness to it. And the density of matter is slower in its frequency and vibration, although it is certainly at all times moving as well and vibrating as well. And so we can think of these large concepts like a sun and all that it provides and all that it does in our paradigm and all that it offers and all of its bounteous offering. We can think in our own lives about the largesse of the bounty of the harvest that we have available with every breath. I've had many teachers on this path that have illumined and awakened in my own awareness the grace of the gifts that I am given as a result of getting to be incarnate in a body. My beloved aunt is a little person. She's a doll maker, and she was born and has a wooden leg, and her arm didn't fully develop, and she has half of her arm. And she uses her form as a little person and without a leg and without a fully formed arm, and is this amazing, remarkable, phenomenal, creative doll maker. And she's, you know, in my childhood was quite funny and quite intelligent. And I can think on the things that I'm given. I'm able to reach, I'm 5'9", I can reach things that are high up. There are things that I can reach that in her form, in this iteration of her incarnation, she's not able to reach. And yet she is blessed with a bounty equal to the kingdoms that Heather holds, you know? And so even with the trials and tribulations we feel we may possess through the limitations that we experience of our own flesh or of our own mind or of our own heart or our own manifestations in this realm, we every single breath have a bounty at the helm. So there is a largesse in the bounty that we witness. Are you breathing? Good, you're alive. Then that's a bounty that you hold. You hold the bounty of life. How are you treating it? You know? Do you have objects in your home? How many do you think you have? Wow, do you think you're poor? That's interesting. Let's try counting all the objects in our home and see if we're rich or poor. It's possible we've traded our finances for objects. And it's possible we've been living in bounty all along. The things that we need most are infinitely free, like the breath and water, things that cause us to sustain life. The most beautiful things, love, are freely given in this world and actually will never cost a dime. And so there are bounties within bounties within bounties, because we can be given things that help us to sustain life and proliferate. And it's all just generously available. And we can also be given a divergent perspective in this paradigm so that we continue to consume. And so, you know, I kind of take a knee to that bounty. I've been doing autophagy, I've been doing a lot of things. I shifted everything that I've been doing a couple months ago, and I was like, I'm going to change everything because nothing's changing. And so I started doing autophagy, where I fast for 20 hours every day, and I started, 19 to 20. And I started going to different places, and I should just change my whole life. I was like, I'm going to grow out my hair long. I'm going to actually do it this time. Start wearing dresses and skirts. Weird. I always had this thought that I would eventually fall in love with someone, and at that point I would feel able to be the feminine principle and form, because much of me being the feminine principle has been unsafe in this realm, or has felt as such. And so I went to wearing baggy clothes and having short hair and presenting, hopefully, in an unattractive manner to most people, to prevent unwanted experiences that I kept having in the field. And I went into this transition in which I started to hold myself more macrocosmically. I do not need to be in a partnership at this age, at 49, at nearly 50, to know that I am safe, and I don't have to have some of the tragic and traumatic experiences I've had in the ignorance of other people's youth and engagement with my own youth to suffer, you know? And so I'm looking at my own life and taking a more macrocosmic perspective. Heather, what is not working? Well, I don't know. I don't feel necessarily super elated, and I feel like I'm a joy, love, light being, and I feel just kind of drowning in the banality of existence in this terrible feeling of awfulness that tends to be habituated in the resonance frequency of being a human being. The amount of anxiety, the amount of worry, the amount of stress, the amount of distress that two-leggeds feel that's available in the field for us to tune into is pretty perpetual and exhausting. And so there's this macrocosmic frequency, this macrocosmic energy that's present in the field. And what are you offering the waves of probability with your consciousness? What types of particles are you inviting life to show up as you use your conscious mind to tell it all, to tell the dream, to awaken and show up as what you witness and see? One of the ways that I have a macrocosmic consistent perspective that is frustrating to some in my life is I have a constant conscious awareness of multiversal perspective. I do not ever assume that I'm in a universe. I assume that I am at all times quantum jumping through an infinite number of multiversal perspectives. And I don't even see it as like, right now, there's many iterations of what Heather does. I see that life is a unified field of spirit. I hold a shamanic and animistic perspective. And that vast one being is all the variations of kingdoms in the largessness of its isness. And so one of the things that we're going to do this summer in the Be the Answer class that I'll be teaching is we're going to take a macrocosmic jump in the 8th week of class, and we're going to start to visit what's called the 3 worlds. Shamans, pretty universally, globally, believe in 3 worlds. A Mongolian dark edge shaman believes that there are holographic, overlapping dimensional balls of energy, which is kind of more Heather Feather's perspective. I hold more of a Mongolian dark edge shaman perspective. I see this realm as balls of holograms that are many, many mansions, worlds within worlds, you know, that are overlapping, and we're constantly dancing around in. And although life can feel banal and it can cause us to sometimes feel small, there is a largesse present in the field at all times. And so most shamans believe, aside from Earth School or our universe or our cosmos, or even the concept of infinite multiverses, that there are 3 realms in addition to the one that is at the helm that Heather Feather is walking in and making this video in today. There is lower world, which used to be called the underworld, land of the dead, land of the ancestors, land of those that have crossed over, a primal ancient energy where your power animal can be found. We now call it heaven, and we placed it above us because the polarities have flipped. You know, the earth used to be masculine, Geb, and the sky was Nut, feminine in ancient Egypt, and the polarities have flipped. Now the earth is feminine and the sky is sky father, it's masculine. And as these polarities flip, we can see that there's this infinite opportunity for things to kind of spin here. The pendulum's constantly swinging and things are flipping, the coins are flipping of our reality. However, heaven used to be below. There wasn't hell, there wasn't devil. There was just the underworld, the land of the dead. It was the place you went through a veil to get to a place where we still exist. And in the 8th week of class, we're going to do a Celtic shamanic journey, traditional Celtic shamanic journey, in which we journey into the underworld to meet our power animal, to meet our ancestors, to meet those that have crossed over, and give ourselves that opportunity to connect with some of this more primal aspect of our being. And we will discuss in the 7th week of class some of these aspects of these three worlds. How do we travel to lower world? Well, it's through a slower and less beats per minute drumming to get to that realm, because we're talking about greater density at the home. And then there is middle world, which is the spiritual counterpart of this realm. It is the only of the three worlds that has positive and negative energies, because it's the spiritual counterpart of 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐞. It is a spiritual mirror to what is physically manifest in this realm. And what is physically manifest in this realm is dualism: good, bad, right, wrong, left, right, save us putting our minds in a trine or individual state. The way you get out of duality is to get singular or trinity based. So there's middle world, which is the spiritual counterpart to 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐞, where you can travel and encounter all kinds of things, which other feathers done. And then there's upper world, where the ascended masters, the angelic seraphim, the angels, the very high frequency, high vibration energies of the masters that have walked the earth, that's where that frequency would be attuned to. And so we can get to these spaces with variant rates of drumming and traveling the worlds, if you will. So macrocosmically, there could be something much larger at the helm than just being at 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐞. It's possible you can do this thing that many books have been written about, called astral travel, that many humans have experienced, whether you have or not. And you can leave the body and go to other places. Fun! Worlds within worlds within worlds. But it's also possible that there's something so much larger happening than just your physical, mental, and emotional existence. I found many here at 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐞, and I've barely even met a drop in the ocean of the bucket of existence, that identify as atheistic and agnostic. They do not identify as having a soul. Many two-leggeds have told me throughout my life, oh yeah, it's just blackness after you die. And I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder why all these near-death experiencers are lying to us. Mass hallucinations and lies from all the people that have been dead. Really interesting philosophy you hold. And to each their own. I love the diversity of the garden. The garden of life would not be as much if we didn't have a tulip, a daisy, a rose, a bird of paradise, all the variety of different types of blooms that are available, or types of blooming awareness or consciousness that a two-legged can hold in mind. And there is a possibility that's present in the field of awareness called, what if there is something larger than my body, my mind, my heart, and my ego? What if my ego is not the largest thing in the room each day? What if there is a spirit? What if I be like a scientist, instead of saying there is no God, there is no soul, I spend decades looking for it, looking within the temple. Most spiritual texts will tell you to go within to find that which is the spirit. What if there are things that are so large they don't fit under a microscope? The wind doesn't fit under a microscope. Love doesn't fit under a microscope. We can say oxytocin, which is our biochemistry, a chemical we release when we experience love. We could say that is love, but based on all the songs and books and poems and Rumi and ways that humanity have tried to define what love is, I think we can all agree that oxytocin does not describe it foundationally. It is so much larger than that. And where is its source? And where is love stored? And how much of there is it? Right? So there are things that are larger than any being has dared to dream in their philosophy, Horatio. You know what I mean? And it's possible that we have an unseen realm. It's possible that there are things that do not get witnessed by the eyes. We have stereoscopic vision to begin with, so our eyes aren't the most trustworthy thing. Is it a lady? Is it a vase? Is it a lady or is it a vase? So we have to be very careful with the tools and instruments that we choose to use to be our definer of what is truth. Because there are many ways to see. The pineal gland, a pine cone-like, if we take a sagittal slice and split Heather in half and split open her body, near the center of my brain, we'll find a little tiny pine cone called the pineal gland, which has been referred to as ajna, third eye or brow chakra, or that third way to see in this realm. And it is done typically by closing the eyes and going to the beautiful darkness of the inky blackness of your inner realm when we are not using the outer eyes at the helm. And so today, what I'm asking about is, how macrocosmic are you in your perspective? Do you have ally spirits? Do you have access to ascended masters, to the angelic kingdom, to your ancestors, to visit souls, to work with power animals, to work with any entity that could be in an unseen realm that might be able to aid and serve you in a darkened hour, in an anxious time, in a period in which you're kind of stuck in your heart and your mind? Is there more available to you? You can go to Rare Bird Medicine and click on the classes link. We do have an upcoming class called Be the Answer. It is the foundations of shamanism, and we'll discuss the microcosm and the macrocosm in that class. Hope to have you join us there. You can always subscribe on YouTube. I'm Wynn.